it's me, Mrs. Lockman from Boston School Forest. It's great to be outside this time of year, and plants are amazing. In fact, we'll take a look today at some of the plants at Boston School Forest, and then I'll introduce you to my friend, Mrs. Anderson. She knows a whole lot about plants, and she'll even show us how to make something called an herbarium. You know, I'm still learning a whole bunch about plants, so who better to turn to than an expert in plants? My friend Mrs. Anderson, who was a naturalist here at Boston School Forest for 16 years before she retired. And she knows so much about plants and plant patterns, and so welcome Mrs. Anderson. We're excited to talk to you about how can you tell a plant is safe or not?
Well, in order to tell if a plant is safe to touch, you have to learn the plant. And the best way to learn a plant is to look at the patterns in the plant. So we have some samples here on cards that show patterns in the leaves. Here's a leaf that has real pointy edges. They're called teeth, like our teeth. And they have some teeth that are big and some teeth that are little. So that's a pattern. Here's a leaf. They also have points, but not as many. And they are a little bit rounded teeth. So that's another pattern. Some leaves don't have teeth. These have smooth edges. So another pattern still. With some big parts that are bigger than teeth we call lobes. So lobes are another pattern. Here's a great leaf. I love this one. It's all mixed up. It has lobes, big things like this, and it has teeth, but they're not all the same. Not all the leaves are the same. You can see how different this leaf is from this leaf, and this leaf is different than that leaf. That's actually a pattern too. And the flowers have patterns as well. You can look at the flower part, but you can also look at the leaves. Now if you look at the leaves on this plant, you can see that there's one leaf that comes out here on this stem, and one leaf that comes out here on this stem. This leaf comes out opposite of this leaf. So opposite leaves are a pattern. If you look at this grass plant, it also has patterns. Here's a leaf coming out on this grass stem, but there's no leaf here, so it's not opposite. It does not have an opposite pattern. It has one way down here coming out, and that's called alternate. So you can look for patterns in leaves, in the shapes, or in the edges, or how they come off the stem. You can look for patterns in the flowers of plants. How are the flowers arranged? Are there lots of petals and then a center part? That's the same here. Lots of petals with a center part. Well, it turns out these plants are in the same plant family because of that pattern. So once you get to know plants, you get to know which ones are in the same family, and then it becomes a lot easier to remember them in the spring when they start coming out again.
Okay, plant patterns are great information to have. But this is fall, and those plants are going to go dormant and probably be under snow for the next 6 months. How am I supposed to remember these teeths and these lobed and the wavy and the branching next spring? How am I supposed to remember that?
Well, one thing you can do is to collect parts of the plant so that you have a record of the plant. At the school, Boston School Forest, we created a herbarium, which is a collection of plants. And from that herbarium, we have a permanent record now of the plants in the school forest. You can do that as well. We use this herbarium here, which has pretty simple parts, you know, a wooden outside, and then just a lot of paper, really, with the plants inside. When you collect a plant, it's really good to collect information that day. So I put down the location, Boston School Forest, south of Elkie Lodge, because Boston School Forest is really big and we need to know exactly where these plants were collected. I put down the date. That can be very important as well. And in some cases you might want to put a number because you might be referring to your field notebook where you have written information about those plants as well. And that number 22 will direct you right to there. So here's some plants we collected. And you can see that there's different patterns on these plants, just like we talked about before. Lobes and teeth at one time. And this is our record that we have at the school forest. You can make a collection at home, even if you don't have a herbarium. You can use something as simple as a phone book. And you can take a plant, whether it's a leaf or a flower, and you can put it in the phone book. Might want to ask your parents and make sure that's okay with them. You put it in the phone book and you just close the page. You can put another one in. You can put lots of leaves in at one time. Close that page, put another leaf in, and then in a couple of weeks, you'll have your very own dried and pressed plants. And they're great to have as records. They're also very fun to do projects with, like make note cards and bookmarks and things like that.
Mrs. Anderson, thank you so very much for sharing with our students what you know about plant patterns and how to make an herbarium. I can't wait to go home and start making my own herbarium. Is there anything else about plants that you wish to share with our students?
Sure there is. A great way to learn more about plants is to grow them yourself. You can, if you have a little bit of plot of land near your house, you can start a flower garden or a vegetable garden. Even if you just grow a couple of things or even one thing, you will learn so much. You can watch things that have flowers like this, and then later on you'll see what the seeds look like. And some of those seeds or flowers are things you actually will harvest from your garden if it's a vegetable garden and eat. So gardens are a great way to learn about plants.